Good morning and welcome. My name is Sarah Carlson and I serve on your fellowship board of directors. I want to thank you all for being here today and extend a special welcome to any visitor. Information about us in the fellowship, please sign our virtual guest book at uufames.org/guestbook. And whether you're joining us from home or here in the fellowship hall, we invite you to stay on after the service for coffee fellowship, where you can introduce yourself and join in conversation with kindred spirits. And I believe the announcement this week would be that RE starts the second Sunday in September. And if you are planning to or have children who are planning to participate, please register, and the registration information is on the website. So on behalf of this caring, nurturing congregation, I welcome each and every one to this sacred space. Here, we invite you into an experience of transformation, hope, renewal, and connections, which may inspire you to understand life in new ways. Thank you for being here.
Our opening words this morning are from Julie Brock. Every year on her birthday, my mother joyously proclaims that the age she is now is the best one yet. This November, she threw her arms in the air with feigned relief and said, "Thank goodness I am no longer 61. 62 is the very best age yet. I can already feel it. No offense to you kids, but being young is hard." My mother's joy is contagious, and I think I may have caught a chronic case of it. Indeed, I also feel that every year is the best one, not so much because a particular age falls into some good or bad spot on the arc of time, but because each age I become is the age during which I get to be alive. Each new year is another year to live this life, in this body, on this earth, with these people, and for this I celebrate. And my mother is right. Being young is not easy. We are transitory, growing, uncertain, and searching. We are also open, bold, and unyielding. We are able to live this way because we have each other. We look to the future with the knowledge that for the first time in generations, we have less financial and material security than our parents. We look to the future and see a world grown ever more divided economically, politically, and socially. We look to the future and we celebrate. I am grateful for this difficult, challenging, hectic, scary, uncertain time. This is holy time, because in it I learn to rely on community. I sustain my joy by reaching out to that community during hard times. My mother is a wise woman. Being young isn't easy, but for me it is bathed in the love of a community that continually celebrates life with joy. This morning, we light this chalice, bathed in the love of this community. Please rise in body or spirit for hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit.
This is our time for all ages, and any young children who feel comfortable and want to sit down on the carpet, they may, or they can stay with their parents if they prefer. And we have a book this morning. It's called The Brand New Kid. It's by Katie Couric, and it's illustrated by Marjorie Priceman. Ellie McSnelly and Carrie O'Toole were running and laughing. Their first day of school was today, and they wondered just what was in store. Would this be a good year? Would school be a bore? They kept fingers crossed that they'd be in the same class. And on a big table that they had to pass, they checked to find out to which room they should go. McSnelly, 240. O'Toole, I don't know. Oh, here it is, dear. You're 240 as well. They squealed with delight. Oh, gee, that was swell. 240 meant they would both have Miss Kincaid, the best teacher by far in the whole second grade. They took their seats quickly. Miss Kincaid called a roll. Emily Allen here, Tyler Anatole here, Peter Barinsky here, Raquel Brooks here too. She went down the list until she was through. And then she got to the boy who was not in her book. We have a new student. They all turned to look. His name is a different one, Laszlo S. Gasky. He's new to our school and the town of Dulaski. Please welcome him here. Won't you all please say hi? But the students just turned and stared at the new guy. His hair was so blonde, why, it looked almost white. It stuck out all over. It didn't look right. His lips were bright pink, his eyes very blue. He looked at his feet and he fidgeted too. He was quiet at first, then yelled out, "Hello!" His voice booming so loud it made Ellie say, "Whoa!" The other kids laughed. Gee, this new boy was weird, too different and strange to fit in, they all feared. "Now, class," Miss Kincaid said, her voice shrill and tight, "let's focus on learning and getting things right." She turned from the students. White chalk was her tool as she wrote, "Welcome back to Brookhaven School." They sharpened their pencils and picked up their books. All morning long, they kept shooting him looks. They headed to gym class, a quick softball game. When they went to pick teams, no one mentioned his name. At lunch, Ricky Jensen, who thought it was cool, made everyone laugh, and he shouted, "Hey, fool!" As Laszlo was leaving the line with his tray, someone tripped him. His food, it went every which way. The students all froze as they saw Laszlo's face with French fries and ketchup all over the place. So these first weeks were lonely for the brand new kid. They made fun of him, all that he said and he did. So he kept his head bowed and stopped trying to please, simply prepared for the next taunt and tease. One day after school, Ellie walked out the door and she saw someone she hadn't seen before. A lady whose face looked so tired and worn. She had tears in her eyes and she seemed so forlorn. "Who is that?" Ellie asked of a student she saw. "Oh, that's Laszlo's mother," says Susie McGraw. "Her son's having trouble. She might pull him out. This school may be wrong for him. She's full of doubt." Ellie watched Mrs. Gasky as she walked toward her car, and she thought about how things were going so far, about Laszlo and how he felt different and strange and how wonderful, and wondered out loud just what she could arrange. "I've got it," she said. "I'll ask him to play at my house or at his after school ends one day." The next morning she walked up to him at his locker. "Would you like to come over and maybe play soccer?" Stunned, he said, "Please come to my house and play." So Ellie said, "Sure, I can. Let's pick a day." "How about Thursday?" he asked with a smile, a look that he hadn't been on his face in a while. They walked home from school with their books in their arms, passing meadows and fields and a couple of farms. They arrived at his door, greeted by his French poodle, and Mrs. Gasky was there with a plate of warm strudel. As they munched on the pastry, they made quite a mess, and Laszlo said, "Do you know how to play chess?" Ellie said, "Yes, but I'm not all that great." "That's okay," he replied, and he soon said, "Checkmate." The afternoon ended. Ellie said, "This is fun." Laszlo just smiled and said, "Hey, thanks a ton for coming to my house and being my friend at a school in a town where I just don't fit in." At school the next day, the kids stopped her and said, "You were walking with Laszlo. Are you sick in the head?" Ellie paused and replied, "Now, I know him, you see. Laszlo isn't that different from you and from me. He's terrific at chess, and his mom's really sweet. Playing soccer, the guy doesn't have 2 left feet. He may look slightly strange, have an accent and stuff, but if you knew him, you'd like him and be tough." Carrie looked at her friend and she thought for a while, and when Laszlo walked up, she gave him a big smile. "Hey, Ellie, hey, Laszlo, do you want to go play?" And they all walked outside on a beautiful day.
Will you join me now in a time of prayer and meditation? And today's meditation is from Patrick Murphin. I do not have a personal relationship with God. I've lost his phone number. He never answers his mail. He is not there like an old neighbor to fix my lawnmower and hand me a soda on a blazing hot day. When I rip my shin on a jutting shelf and cry out his name, he does not rush to me with Band-Aids and peroxide. He does not, at times of vexation, when my world lies shattered, my relationships ruptured, my children insolent, my finances hopeless, come with soothing counsel to my side. He does not take my requests like a long-distance dedication on America's Top 40, or deliver within 5 business days or my money back on my catalog order. My business is not important to him. I do not have a personal relationship with God, but in quiet moments, in the familiar whistle of a red-winged blackbird on a cattail, or in spider webs glinting with dew in the grass of a clear sunrise, or in the passing attention of an old cat, he, she, it, whatever, does not speak or do or answer, but admits me to a fleeting union with the greater. May it be so, and amen.
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning, a sharing community where our joys are amplified, and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. It's a tradition in our community to take a moment to share our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community. It is a time of sharing and not for announcements. If you would like, those in the fellowship hall can first come up to the microphone, state your name, and share a joy or sorrow, and I'll light a milestone candle for you up here. This is our time of sharing, and once we're done at the microphone, we'll open it up to our online community.
Hi, I'm Lynn Van Balen, a member of this wonderful community. And 9 years ago today, death took my husband, my rock, my best friend, and many of you in this room have fond memories of Rich. I brought Nancy up here for support so I can get through this. But I just have a short quote for you that's on my refrigerator that I look at every day. I'd like to read it to you. Death leaves a heartache that no one can heal, but love leaves memories that no one can steal. And I'd like you all to cherish the memories. Thank you.
I'm Stu Huntington. I just wanted to light a candle for our own Mary Richards, who yesterday in Des Moines was honored as a leading woman of Iowa, and a richly deserved award, as we all know. So here's to Mary.
I'm Susan Norris, and I'd like to light a very joyful candle for the last 8 days I got to spend with my 4 sons, one from England, one from San Francisco, 2 from here, and at the tail end, my beloved and favorite redheaded nephew, Andrew, joined us, and I'm still adjusting to them all being gone now.
I'm Allison Rutledge, and some of you might have known me by my maiden name, Allison Huntress. Long, long, long ago. My joy and mixed with it concern is that I'm in my early 70s, and July 1st of this year was my first day of retirement from work. I've been a psychologist since long ago, and I worked part-time even after I was older because I just couldn't imagine not working and helping people in the way that I was used to helping them. My most recent job has been in nursing homes, and it's my favorite job that I've ever had. So as of July 1st, every day is Saturday now, and I kind of don't know what to do with myself, but each day has something to do in it that is busy, and then I often find that's all I can do that day. So like after this, I probably won't do anything else all day. I just wanted to share it with you. I haven't been here since COVID started, so I'm really happy to be here.
Candle of joy for the Iowa State Fair that I got to attend.
We'll have a moment of silence as we transition to our online community, and our tech folks will put something in chat to let you know when they're ready for the online folks to share.
Good morning. Do you hear me? Okay, my name is Ronnie Khan, and I'd like to light a candle for my former boss and his wife, who are both dealing with some extreme struggles. He was a psychiatrist. He now has ALS. They're living in Florida, and I have connected with his wife, who both of them were friends of mine, and I asked how they were. Her answer was surviving, and please keep them in your thoughts. Thank you.
This is Dan Haug. I have a Milestone about poultry, the backyard chickens and ducks. The happy thing about that has been a chance to connect with friends that we've had friends with kids, a couple of families with kids come over the past couple weeks, and that's been a point of fun and connection. But then the risk of backyard poultry is predator attacks, and so we just had 2 ducks and a chicken were killed. So that's been a little hard. They're not quite pets, but they're close.
Good morning. This is Jane Runnels, and hopefully you can all hear me. I have a joy and a sorrow to share today. A joy is that I got back to Iowa a week and a half ago and currently staying in our RV at my son's house in Polk City. So I hope to join many of you up there at the congregation in person sometime soon. I'm doing home care currently, so I do have some weekend jobs that might deter me from that, but I will come over there when I can. And then the sorrow, the day that we arrived at my son's house was just a week and a half ago. His neighbor had passed away suddenly in his prime. He was a professional architect, and he got killed as a pedestrian crossing a street, and it was just so sad and so sudden. And so if you can keep his sons in your thoughts, it's a very hard time for them. So, but I am happy to be back, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon. And I'm finished.
Okay. It shows we're a community here at Community Online. We thank you for all who joined us. Our last candle is lit for those milestones. All these milestones, though, as we know in our community, we never need walk alone. Let's share a moment of silence together.
Our reading this morning is from Parker Palmer. There was a time when farmers on the Great Plains, at the first sign of a blizzard, would run a rope from the back door out to the barn. They all knew stories of people who had wandered off and been frozen to death, having lost sight of home in a whiteout while still in their own backyards. Today we live in a blizzard of another sort. It swirls around us as economic injustice, ecological ruin, physical and spiritual violence, and their inevitable outcome, war. It swirls within us as fear and frenzy, greed and deceit, and indifference to the suffering of others. We all know stories of people who have wandered off in this madness and been separated from their own souls, losing their moral bearings and even their mortal lives. They make headlines because they take so many innocents down with them. The lost ones come from every walk of life: clergy and corporate executives, politicians and people on the street, celebrities and school children. Some of us fear that we or those we love will become lost in the storm. Some are lost at this moment and are trying to find their way home. Some are lost without knowing it. And some are using this blizzard as cover while cynically exploiting its chaos for private gain. So it is easy to believe that the soul, that life-giving core of the human self, with its hunger for truth and justice, love and forgiveness, has lost all its power to guide our lives. But my own experience of the blizzard, which includes getting lost in it more often than I like to admit, tells me that it is not so. The soul's order can never be destroyed. It may be obscured by the whiteout. We may forget or deny that its guidance is close at hand. And yet we are still in the soul's backyard, with chance after chance to regain our bearings.
We'll now give and receive the offertory. Please know that half of the non-pledge offering will be donated to the Iowa Center for Public Affairs Journalism, also known as Iowa Watch. This organization strives to lead investigative journalism in Iowa through collaboration, training, and of future journalists, and efforts to increase the understanding of the role of journalism in democracy. At the heart are core values of truth, ensuring vetted information is at the heart of its work, democracy, and education. And during this time, we'll have some special music from Women in the Round. Live music this morning. Really nice. Oh, no, we don't need it. Oh, okay.
We've been looking forward to singing for you for 2.5 years in person. And we're going to sing a song that we first heard on Zoom a couple of years ago by Leah Morris, whose music helped us get through this very hard time of being on Zoom instead of in person. Leah Morris is both a composer and a performer.
Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name, will you heal our pain? Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, and you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name, will you heal our pain?
Thank you, women in the round. And good morning, Ames. It is a joy to be with you here today. My name is Reverend A.J. Galazin. I'm your interim minister. My pronouns are he and his. And for those of you attending our service this morning on Zoom, please remain on Zoom after the service ends, because I will be heading down to my office so I can greet you at the Zoom coffee hour today. And I apologize to those of you here in the sanctuary as I rush away to meet our online friends. I'm the brand new kid on the block, and I found that wonderful children's book in your amazing Dustin Berger Memorial Library. It was staring at me from the shelf as I walked in to meet with the library committee. And the icing on the cake is that the book was written by Katie Couric, one of my favorite optimistic commentators, and the only person I know that had her colonoscopy televised. Like Laszlo, the new kid in the book, I tend to stick out a bit with my crazy hairdo, my booming voice, and my Minnesota accent, which I do have, I know. But like Laszlo, I have already met many friendly Iowans who don't mind the way I look or the way I talk. Sometimes the brand new kid can be just the friend you need. I love to take road trips, and I've traveled all across the country at all times of the year. And one time I will never forget, I was crossing Donner Pass outside of Reno, Nevada, during a heavy snowstorm in the Sierras. The State Patrol was on duty and very helpful in keeping the road moving slowly in one lane until we safely came down the mountain into the lush green valleys of California. It was still harrowing. There were cars stuck in snowbanks, but it was an orderly chaos. I drove through another scarier blizzard right here in Iowa, somewhere between Ames and the Minnesota border. It was a thick whiteout condition. The road was glare ice, and there were many cars in the ditch. The difference here was that there was very little, if any, intervention by the highway patrol. It was more of a free-for-all. And the big 18-wheelers were taking advantage of their size and their speed to splash an icy mix right onto passing cars, which made for a feeling of being buried alive. In times like that, even someone without a personal relationship with God might cry out silently for a way out of that mess. With nowhere to pull over or turn around, the only answer was to slow down and hope everyone else would do the same. This congregation is entering a liminal time, a time of transition, a time of new beginnings, a time to clarify boundaries, a time to cross a threshold, a time to ask questions. When will we get going? Are we there yet? Who is setting our direction? Can we just pull over and rest for a while? I also like the term numinous time. Numinous implies a spiritual effort, a time of mystery, a time of inspiration, a time of change and disorientation, a time when time itself slows down, a time not to rush, but instead to honor the speed limit and enjoy the scenery. One interesting thing I noticed while living in Texas is that for most of the state, there really isn't a speed limit. People drive as fast as they want to cover the Texas-sized distances between everything, except in school zones. School zones have flashing lights and crossing guards and police patrols and drivers who obey the law. In the past, churches were told to hurry up and hire a new minister before the previous minister had departed, so that the new minister could hit the ground running. Well, in the real world, it doesn't quite work that way. Each minister brings a lifetime of gifts and challenges to the congregation, and it's not as easy as it sounds just to clear out the office one day and welcome a new pastor the next. From years of experience, churches have learned that this transitional time is a special opportunity to take stock of your resources and augment any deficiencies before searching for your next settled minister. So who's in charge here? Well, according to our Unitarian Universalist covenant, we affirm and promote, among other things, the use of the democratic process within our congregation and in society at large. That democratic process means that you elected your board of trustees from those among you, and they are vested with making important decisions that affect this fellowship. A settled minister is called by the whole congregation and can be dismissed only by the whole congregation. I was hired by your board of trustees, and I answer to that board. Your board is responsible for day-to-day operations and the financial obligations of this congregation. On your behalf, they hold this authority. The board meets monthly. The meetings are open to everyone. And if you want to know what's really going on here, you are invited to attend the meetings, read the minutes, or speak with a board member. They are hardworking souls. Please thank them profusely and often. And there is one member of the board that I meet with every week, and that is the president, Jamie Gerganis. The president has a special responsibility for helping set the agenda and working diplomatically with committees and members. The president is also entrusted with guarding the covenants that guide this fellowship into living its purpose and mission. Be especially kind to your president. She's got the whole world in her hands. I'm kidding, but still, please be kind to her. The board and the president are not alone in this work. For the next 2 years, the board has appointed a transition team that will work closely with me to identify priorities, honor your traditions, strengthen relationships, and prepare for the next ministry. We will install the transition team of Chris McClure, Cindy Scholten, and Sarah Carlson at a Sunday service in September. By conducting surveys and hosting listening sessions, the transition team will provide the board and the search committee with information necessary to find the best candidate. The transition team will advise the board on which short-term goals are most urgent, reasonable, and doable. I will meet with the transition team monthly, and no matter how much we try, how much we accomplish, we will not be able to do everything we want in the next 2 years. So to work on longer 3 to 5 year goals and to provide a process for right relations and conflict resolution, as well as completing confidential and ongoing evaluations of the various ministries of this fellowship, I have recommended that the board appoint a committee on shared ministry. This committee has been active in this fellowship in the past, but fell into disuse and was dissolved. I believe the Committee on Shared Ministry would serve an important need to efficiently use your resources and plan for future growth. But neither the transition team nor the Committee on Shared Ministry have any direct authority. They both serve at the pleasure of and are advisory to the board. The Unitarian Universalist Association, our denomination, provides many services to its member congregations like this fellowship. and the UUA's special field worker, Reverend Sharon Dittmar, will be coming here to Ames to spend a weekend with us, to provide an overview of the search process, lead a board retreat, and answer questions. And she has many years of experience working with congregations in transition. Sharon will be hosting a town hall for all interested members and friends at 6:30 p.m. on Friday, September 9th. We will be sending out reminders to everyone the week before the meeting. The board will be present at that town hall, and I hope many of you will be able to join us. For many years, I commuted on a lonely highway in northern Wisconsin. Most of the time, it was just fine. But occasionally, the lake effect snow from Lake Superior was unpredictable, and I could get caught in a blizzard as the first and only person on the road, with no tire tracks to follow at night. My previous experience taught me there was a road beneath me somewhere. And when I centered myself to where I believed that road should be and took a leap of faith, I eventually made it home. Thank you, sweet Spirit of life. Your transition time may feel like a blizzard. Familiar surroundings become strange. Things are moving too fast. And who really likes change? Anyone? Meanwhile, the snow keeps falling. Now you may ask, where does the interim minister fit in? Easy. I'm the new kid on the block. I don't necessarily experience the blizzard in the same way because I'm not sure where anything is supposed to be. Because this is your fellowship, I defer to your collective wisdom to make decisions. I'm not here to be a bulldozer. It's not my job to tear things down or build things up. I'm more of a leaf blower. Yes, I sometimes can be loud and intrusive, but my job is to help uncover what is beneath the surface and to help clear the gutters if they are plugged. I can also be a tether that gently guides you back to a safe place if you lose your way during the storm. Because I have faith in your ability to make this journey. I will walk beside you, but I cannot do the work for you. In the words of Parker Palmer, we may forget or deny that guidance is close at hand. And yet we are still in the soul's backyard with chance after chance to regain our bearings. May it be so, and amen. Will you rise now in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 113, Where is Our Holy Church? closing words are from Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Go now in peace. And we extinguish this flame as we go out to do our own work until we gather again.